What's up? I'm sorry that I changed the time to this so dramatically and so quickly. But but I realized that I was ready to do the video a lot sooner than I planned. So I was like, well, I can just do the video, and then if you guys miss it, then of course I can post it. You can watch it later and get involved. Then I've got a laptop on my lap as well, so I'm gonna have to keep my lap still. Oh dear. Oh, I'm gonna have to keep still. Oh, this is gonna be a challenge, guys. I don't know how. Maybe if I cushioned it, then the movements would be. Okay, wait. Okay, that might be a bit more stable. There we go. Wonderful. So, it's about serving customers while maintaining pride in your work. And the reason that I'm doing this video is simply because I, over the weekend, had a bit of discussion with some people about customer service and stuff. And it kind of dawned on me that really, it's an issue within employment as much as it is in customer service. In regards to how people approach customer service from an employee's perspective, and actually as well from a business perspective, because really, I could go in on about this for days, as I'm sure we're clear, but what's important is that when you're doing the role, you need to feel good about what you're doing, right? You need to have an element of pride about what you do, because that will show. And of course, that will then reflect on your performance and the way that people will respond to you in the job, etc., etc., etc. But it's not so easy because, for one, there are a few things that we assume are all the same. We assume within customer service that just kind of create this back and forth. And it's a dangerous thing for us to do. So, for one, I think what I want to start off by saying is that we would need to acknowledge that customer service is not the same throughout. Customer service is, of course, a form of a role, a part of a role. It is an aspect of a role, but it is not the role itself. Because if you look at customer service, let's say in a bar, that's going to be very different to customer service as, say, an ombudsman. There's difference between face-to-face, where you're producing the product, you're creating the product in front of them, and one where you're taking someone through the aftermath of a product not working over the phone. So they're not even in the room. There's not even that face-to-face eye contact. And those are two different formats. There's different types of customer service. One where, unfortunately, you're unable to, let's say, you have limitations with what you can do with that customer in that process. Whereas with some customer service roles, actually it's kind of limitless. You're actually able to say to a customer, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm literally not going to do anything for you because you're not meeting me in the middle here. And so we need to first recognize what kind of customer roles we're looking at so that we can then go, right, what are the limitations here? What am I trying to achieve? Which then moves me comfortably onto the next part, which is indeed, what are you trying to achieve in your customer service role? I think it's too easy and actually counterproductive for us to say, I just want to serve customers, or it's my job to serve customers, because that's one of the biggest mistakes that is made in the industry, in any industry where customers are present and they need service. That's one of the biggest mistakes, because what it does is it basically says that the customer can get away with and should expect the world. You can get away with anything they like and they should expect the world, right? So when you say, I just want to serve customers to my best ability, and that is my role to just serve, what you're saying is that it's unclear exactly where your limitations are, where the boundaries lie, and what you actually do, and therefore they can break through those boundaries, and we could get upset that it's happened, but actually we haven't made it clear where the boundaries lie. And this is an issue that businesses have as well. They think that customer service is just something that should be given without limitations, with no boundaries, and thus, of course, then customers don't see the boundaries and they push past them. Now, the difficult thing I have is that, of course, with the other aspect is that then plays against the business, and it plays against you in your role. So what you want to do then is first, of course, understand, number one, that customer service has a different face depending on what kind of work you're doing. Once you've established what kind of work you're doing, then you want to find a company that meets with your expectations of what it is you're trying to achieve. To give an example of this, I've worked in multiple different restaurants, and I've worked behind bars, and I've worked as a salesperson, I've worked as a bin man, I've worked in recycling, I've worked in catering, different venues, mobile catering, if you like, that kind of thing. But most of the time it's been in the food industry. And one thing that I've recognized, one thing I've noticed is the time when I felt most proud of my work was actually when the principles that I held were matched with the business I worked for. So I've worked for places where they were independently run, the food was of very, very high quality, the service was expected to be of extremely high quality, etc., etc. But I'll be honest, I hated working there. I absolutely hated working there. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel proud of my work. I didn't feel proud of who I was or who I was becoming. I didn't enjoy it at all. Then I've worked for other places where they've enforced this element of high energy, bubbly personality, smiles all day long, everything's wonderful, and I didn't enjoy it there either. Then I worked for a place where there was an element of decorum, an element of respect, and actually, if I'm honest, there was an element of customer intelligence, so that even the customer could understand how to get the best service they could expect, right? As well as that, with the business I worked for, they were able to understand, and there was this synergy of what was expected and how we performed, so that if I did step out of line, of course, then I knew I stepped out of line. However, if the customer felt I stepped out of line, we could take it to the management and they go, well, actually, no, they didn't, and we can move forward with that. So it was this unity of understanding of what it is you enjoy and what it is you do in your job and what it is you do well, and finding an employer that will match that, who meets you in the middle with that. Because then you're able to reinforce that pride. Because if you imagine you have pride in your work, and I've known people who do this, and actually myself is included, if you're proud of what you do and your boss doesn't recognize it or doesn't meet you in the middle, you find yourself getting punished for doing things that you would deem to be the correct thing to do. Right? So let's say your talent is, and this is a serious talent that would be required in the food industry particularly, multitasking. Let's say you're able to serve multiple people at once. Okay? Let's say you're able to do that. And I mean, you have to do that, but I mean to a very high standard. And you're very, very good at being able to jump through the tables, getting people different things at different times, and keeping everyone happy, keeping everything timely, keeping everything organized, making sure that everyone is, well and true and wonderful. And yet, really, what your boss really wants is for everyone to get focused, attentive, constant, high-quality service all the time, right? So they think that every table should be given that absolute every single second of attention, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, you're doing everything you can and so on, making sure that everyone's topped up as you can. So what's going to happen then is that one person might feel like they weren't given their, ketchup on time or their drink on time and so on. And then your boss is going to come down on you and go, why on earth didn't you do that? And you'll turn around and go, well, excuse me, I was managing a lot of tables at once and I was actually managing it just fine. Everyone was happy. It's just that I didn't bring that person their ketchup on time or their Coke or whatever. And your boss will go, well, that's not good enough because I expect you to do this, 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 and this in this way. Does that make sense? Does that fit in? Because what you then have is a situation where what you feel you are proud of, what your strengths are, what you feel you're good at is not appreciated. And so you can't really celebrate that pride in what you're able to do. So you want to find a boss or an employer or a business that fits into that, so that then you can serve customers, know that you're backed up, know that what you do well, and that you're able to do it well with confidence and continue to do it well. Effectively, don't work for people who don't respect what you do well. And that was something that I had to learn the hard way. I worked in so many different restaurants, and it was very, very difficult trying to find the right place. But, when I did, it was beautiful. I felt so proud of what I did because, I know this sounds funny for me to say, probably most of you watching the video are customers in one way, shape, or form. But I found pride in the fact that I could say no to people. I found pride in the fact that I could actually manage difficult people, that I was able to control certain difficult scenarios, and I could literally turn people away at the door. I could put my foot down with certain customers. It wasn't just constant, battering of just, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should be doing this. I could put my hand up and go, no, actually, no, I'm not doing that. That's not part of my job. And my boss could turn around and go, yeah, that's not their job. So you're wrong. You need to go. And it did feel good. You know, and this is a funny thing as well. And I'll say to people who don't work in the industry, people who are, you know, curious about what I'm talking about. Hi, Chris. Hello. And and I love this because this isn't actually a rant at all. I mean, if that's what it looks like, then that's a shame. But this isn't a rant. This is genuinely what I think people need to be aware of. I think this is genuinely something that I think people need to listen to, because of course it's so easy, and I think this is the point I'm getting onto. It's so easy for us as hospitality workers, as customer service workers, to look like moany, complaining, miserable people. And let's say that that's the case, right? What is anyone doing about that? What is anyone doing about that? Nothing. Instead, the customer service people, unfortunately, are left to just be miserable in a job where actually they're asked to be quite positive and supportive and helpful. You know what I mean? So this is genuine information that I want people to take on. I want people to listen to, and I want people to be wary of when they look for roles. And this isn't just roles in hospitality. This is roles as they move forward. This is genuinely roles as they move forward. Because one thing that I think people don't get, and you might say duh when I say this, but I really want people to hear this. In customer service, in hospitality, let's say you go into a shop and you pick up a shirt that you like the look of and you take it to the till, right? You give it to the person, they rung it up, and they go, oh, that'll be $16.99. Yeah, thank you very much. You pay them and you go, right? Because you've told them what you want and they've let you have it. Basically, that's it. Same as when you go into any restaurant. You go, I would like the chicken. And they go, okay. So they'll write down chicken. They'll go to the till, put chicken in. They'll wait until the chicken's cooked, bring chicken, put it on your table, you eat chicken. Why? Because that's what you want. People in this industry give you what you want. The difficulty comes when that pushes their ability to give you what you want. Something has gone wrong where they cannot give you what you want. And that's because they don't not want you to have that. You know, it's a job. We want people to have what they want because that is the job effectively. But there are limitations. And this is again going back to point one, you know. We think that customer service is just this universal global thing that people just get whatever the hell they want. And if they don't, they're like up in arms going, oh my God, customer service is terrible. No, it's just that what's not happened is business hasn't been clear about their boundaries. And they need to be, because then you minimize complaints, you minimize low customer morale, and actually customer morale, employee morale, and you minimize employee turnover. Employee turnover is extremely expensive. So imagine if you actually told your employees what they can and cannot do or should not do in customer service, let them stick to those rules, and watch what happens. Watch what happens. Because then they'll feel like, actually, I know where my boundaries lie. I know what I can and can't do. I know what my limitations are. So I'm not gonna go beyond that because that's not what I'm supposed to do. Right? The customer service still has this horrendously vague definition behind it, and I feel that needs to be clarified. So again, we're looking at this unity of what you're trying to achieve and what your boss or the business you're working for is trying to achieve. If those things do not match up, you need to find a new job. I know that's easier said than done, but to start that process, genuinely, look for companies that do things the way you believe they should be done. Because then you're going to be in a situation where you're working for someone where everyone has a similar goal to you. That way, you're not going to feel like the things that you're good at are being disrespected, undervalued, underappreciated, and thankless. Someone is going to thank you for doing things the way you do them because they believe that's the way they should be done, right? So you go out there and you find someone who does things the way you want them to be done. And that would be a really, really great thing to do. Of course, the other thing that you can do, if you want to take pride in what you're doing, is research it. Understand how it started, how it should look, what the kind of context of it all is. Because this is another thing that I think people might get wrong, is you can look at certain buildings or certain places and they set themselves up. I stick primarily to restaurants because that is my primary background of experience. But I'll put it to you this way. In the restaurants I've worked in, I've seen restaurants that play it down in the decor because they for it in the service and the quality of food. Then I've seen restaurants who do it completely opposite way round. They make their restaurants look like the tits. They dress their restaurant up to the nines. And then when it comes to delivery, they might as well be serving dog poo on a plate. I'm not joking. It's terrible. But the issue is, of course, when you look at these businesses and you look at the way they try to operate, what you've got to be careful of and wary of is what their pretense is, what they're pretending to offer, and what they're charging people for that. Because you don't want to work for them either. You want to look at how things really should be done, the best way for things to be done, so that you're not falling short on working for someone who looks the part, but is not charging for the part. I have a great example of this, and I'm not in a position yet where I can start naming names, but I want everyone to be wary of this, because I know for a fact there are companies out there who are dressing like the, £50 a plate restaurants, right? So you walk in and you go, wow, this is so regal, this is so lovely, oh my God, da 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 da. And they'll dress the waiters up, they'll dress the staff up, like again, to the nines. And they'll make it look like you're about to get looked after. But when you open up the menu and you see £4 starters, and you know that they've got like a 25% off your bill on Voucher Cloud or something like that, that's when you need to start asking questions. That's when you need to start worrying. Because again, what you're looking at is a business that wants the pretense of quality, but not the genuine product of quality. And so you want to do your research. You want to understand the context of delivery of all these things. You want to understand the industry. You want to understand what it is you're trying to do, and recognize how things can look, how things can play out, how things can really act and behave, so that you're not falling short on what you are trying to achieve. Because you are the most important person in this. If you think about it, you can maximize your income, your tips, your earnings, everything, if you're in the right place. If you're very, very good at customer service in terms of talking to people, in terms of the rapport, in terms of building a, regular clientele, which that was one of my fortes, and I know waiters out there who are so good at that. So good at that. You need to put them in the right place to be able to do that. If they're not in a place where they can do that, they ain't going to do it. They're not going to earn money for the business, and they ain't going to earn money for themselves. However, you give them the opportunity. Small section, high bill counts, high food item prices. You watch that money roll in. Watch it roll in. However, if you're looking at steam training waiters and waitresses who literally just dot from table to table, you're talking like 15 table sections. They just boom, 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 bam, 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 bish, bosh, bosh. Don't put them in a restaurant, perhaps, where you've got high menu item prices, because they're going to expect that attention, that I need you right now kind of service. I need someone available right now. I'm not about to wait for my ice water. I'm not about to wait for my salt. I'm not about to wait for my beef to be carved in front of me. I need it done now, right? So you don't want a person who's good at dotting at 15 tables at once, because that's not their forte. Put them in the right place. But you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of your strengths so that you can be in the right place and you're working for the right company to do that. So that will be how to serve customers while maintaining pride in your work. It is about where you position yourself, and it's about having a knowledge of what kind of business you work for. If we look at retail for a second, my first job was in retail, but again, I'm not that experienced, but I give a prime example of this. You can tell the difference, like John Lewis, who pay their staff very well based on what I've heard. But of course, I haven't actually spoken to any of the staff there. But it sounds like they treat their staff well, and apparently their staff turnover is very, very low, which, you should be like, well, that's a message to send out to anyone. But, we'll see. Maybe we need to talk to some of them staff, see how things are actually going. But then you can look at other places I've been to, and shops that I've been to, where the staff haven't been on point. And you could just simply easily chuck it away and be dismissive and chuck it down to that individual's attitude. However, what I do see when a member of staff is not particularly happy in their job is not only a member of staff who isn't, really managing their positioning, managing their strengths and so on, but also a business that is failing to pay attention to their staff, that is failing to actually manage their business, to be honest with you, because they ain't paying attention to the fact that this person in their business, they might be miserable, right? They might have a bad attitude or whatever, but that doesn't matter, because your business is suffering because of that. And I look forward to having an audience with people who who work in restaurants, who manage businesses, to be able to say, well, at the end of my career in restaurants, I'm not even going to lie to you, I was shouting, punching walls, smashing glasses on purpose, turning up late, leaving early. I was, I never stole from the company. Hey, I never befouled the food. I never did that once in the 14 years I worked in restaurants. But you ask these people, do you want these people working in your restaurant? Do you want someone like that working in your business? And the answer should be no. But I'll tell you right now that because of the nature of hospitality and the complete lackluster approach that everyone has to it, there are more people like this working in a restaurant, in retail, in customer service than we might ever imagine. And sure, we could say it's down to that lack of self-management, lack of self-awareness, but it is also down to this really lackluster approach we have to really honing in on what customer service There I am. Okay. I was going to say, I don't know what point I was making. It was down to, it's down to that misunderstanding of what customer service really should look like, what it looks like where, and how both the business and the customer should understand it. Now, I'm gonna get a lot of friction with this. And I'll be honest, I don't care. Like, if you are a customer, unfortunately, you still have a responsibility. I know people are going to disagree with me on this to my death, but bring it on, because if you're a customer, you still have a responsibility to understand what service you should be expecting and what service outreaches let's go stretches further than what you're actually supposed to be getting. Let's put it that way. But that should be serving customers while maintaining your product work. Okay, so that would be it. Understand your strengths, understand what you're good at. Make sure you're in a good place. Make sure you're in a good place where people respect you for that, and of course they meet that same expectation of what they're aiming to deliver for the customer base. Make sure you're doing that, and of course look up your job, look up the research, look into the history of it, look at where it might be going now, so you can have a better understanding of how you can fit into that industry as a whole, because then you are really digging into the embodiment and empowerment of what you do. Because let's be honest, like, you could change someone's whole perspective on shit if you deliver good customer service. You can really make someone's whole week, whole day, whole year with good customer service. And as I have done in my 14 years, you could ruin someone's entire year with bad customer service. And I did it one time. I won't tell you that story though, but it happened. But this is the difference. This is the difference. And you can look at that in terms of the customer, but also in terms of the business as well. It has a huge impact. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, you can click like whenever you want. And I look forward to doing another live video with you. If you've got any questions for me, drop them into my private message box if you want, or you can post them on the video actually, and I can answer these in another live video. But we're going hospitality onwards from here. Also, if you have any goals that you're trying to hit, if you're looking to leave the industry, actually, if you're looking to be more positive, more confident, if you're actually worried about, going into the next day of performing in customer service, if you're worried about that next hit of a customer complaining and so on, and you want to know how to work with that, get in touch with me, all right? Because you're looking at someone who understands this industry. Remember, I've done this for 14 years, man, and I've done it in many different places. So I really do get it. I get it. And I really want to be able to help people find the most positive and most constructive outcome for themselves, so that either they can be the happiest version of themselves, so that they can either be happier, at least in their work, or at least find that pride in their work, so they don't feel like what they're doing is useless, because I know that's another thing that you can have a real problem with. All right, just drop me a PM, slide into my DMs. I don't even mind. Ladies and gentlemen, have a beautiful evening. Mwah. I love you all. Take care, all right? Deuces.